All right, what's up, mob crew? Give me 1 second. What's up, SS? A second here. Hey, Cunningham. All right. I just realized that there's a press conference literally starting in 2 minutes, and since I've covered this from the start, I'm like, I have to go live. Usually I wouldn't, but I've covered it since the beginning, and I've been so invested in this. So thank you guys. It's kind of last minute, but excited to see. Interested to hear what they have to say. Let me turn down my volume here. Oh, Queen, just be careful with the caps, because YouTube takes it as a negative. So Nightbot might yell at you if you use too many caps. So just try to be careful with that. All right. I hate to watch somebody else's stream.
So the plan is to have audio for you. That is my plan.
Okay, I'm gonna check here. Anybody know? Usually I've had every link for every press conference. I do have a backup plan if not.
So give me a second because I'm just kind of keeping an eye out for everything here.
So I'm gonna have this guy just in case. I'm still trying to find where this press conference is. The source. Anybody knows, let me know in the chat. Either way, I'll just have this guy if not. All right. Is this it? No, that was 3 days ago. They've always had it on the same one, which is interesting. Let me go to Twitter. I'm going to keep an eye on his because he's going to play it no matter what. So I got my eye on him. And it should be starting any second now. Let me see what he says.
About the end of the search and rescue, they're going to talk about some sort of upcoming investigation. I'll be interested to see if they give any more information about maybe the debris that was found. And I would assume they'll answer questions from the media. That's what they've been doing previously. So we are waiting for this to start. I got my eye peeled on it. Why is there not video? Because I do not own the rights to the video. So that is why I can't steal another news outlet's video. That's why. Sometimes, if the Coast Guard themselves published it live, I could use it. The Coast Guard, what they do, they don't live stream it. They post the video like a couple hours afterwards. So that it is what it is.
Oh, so they're not doing it the same way. So he's going to have audio of it. That's stupid.
I don't know if the Coast Guard's going to get the debris, but I don't know if anyone's going to get the debris.
Okay. Let me see what news channel he's talking about. Anybody in the chat, let me know. Let's see here. WFLA. Titans. Press conference. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Sunday. I just decided to do this last minute because there could be some interesting info to be released. Oh, that was weird. I would think WFLA would have done it. Sky News. Oh, that's right. Sky News has been... Okay. All right. That's 3 days ago. Okay, here we go. Cool. Perfect. Thank you. Whoever
But the
said
desk
that
is
in the
over
chat.
here. And so
This situation was so bad, and it's looked like people in government didn't know what they
Okay, they don't have it yet. Let's see what he says.
Into the loss of the Titan submersible
Okay,
and
it's
the 5
going.
people on board. Speaking today will be Commander of the 1st Coast Guard District, Rear Admiral John Mauger, who will give a brief statement on the search and rescue aspect of the response. Since discovery of the Titan sub wreckage marked the conclusion of the search and rescue aspect the intention of today's press conference is to shed light on the purpose, scope, and priorities of the Coast Guard's Marine Board of Investigation. Questions should focus on the investigation. Any questions outside this scope should be addressed with our District 1 staff following today's press conference. Please limit to 1 per outlet, and we will be ending at 10 minutes. I will now introduce Rear Admiral John Mauger.
Good afternoon. Over the past week, the world has followed the story of the sub Titan and the 5 people who perished in the terrible tragedy. The purpose of today's press conference is to bring closure to the search and rescue phase of the response and to inform the public of the Coast Guard's next steps. But first and foremost, I want to again express my deepest sympathies to the families. On Saturday, I had the opportunity to travel to St. John's to speak with family members directly. For those that I did not have the opportunity to meet with, I extend my deepest condolences on behalf of the United States Coast Guard and the members of the Unified Command. As I've continued to stress throughout, this case has been extremely complex, involving a coordinated international, interagency, and private sector response in an unforgiving and difficult to access region of the ocean. In total, the Unified Command directed 11 surface assets, 5 subsurface assets, 4 air assets, and completed 39 search and rescue sorties, totaling almost 13,000 square miles. And while the outcome was not what any of us had hoped for, I am very proud of the team of responders who put forth their best effort to locate the submersible. While in Canada, I met with and personally thanked members of the Canadian Coast Guard and the Canadian Armed Forces, who demonstrated the utmost professionalism and expertise throughout the response. I extended my gratitude to all the professional responders who worked diligently to evaluate all leads, mobilize resources, and maintain hope. Their devotion to duty in the face of many complex challenges ensured that we remained always ready to conduct search and rescue operations if needed. The discovery of the Titan submersible wreckage marked the conclusion of the search and rescue aspect of this incident. The Coast Guard has officially convened a Marine Board of Investigation into the loss of the submersible and the 5 people on board. That investigation will be led by Chief Investigator Captain Jason Neubauer. So at this time, I will turn over the mic to him. Captain Neubauer.
And I'll be taking notes too.
Thank you, Admiral Mauger. Good afternoon. Before I discuss the Coast Guard's investigation, I want to express my deepest condolences to the loved ones of the 5 individuals who perished in this tragic incident. My team and myself have been investigating this since we heard the initial reports of a loss of communications, and my entire team wanted to express their condolences also. As a senior investigator, I have witnessed the personal impacts associated with these types of events. And my primary goal is to prevent a similar occurrence by making the necessary recommendations to enhance the safety of the maritime domain worldwide. Upon receiving notification that the submersible Titan had suffered a catastrophic failure with the loss of the 5 lives on board, the Coast Guard declared a major marine casualty and convened a Marine Board of Investigation, commonly referred to as an MBI, on June 23rd. I am serving as the chair for that investigation. An MBI is the highest level of investigation the Coast Guard conducts and enables the U.S. to fully leverage investigative resources, Coast Guard-wide, and capitalize on an extensive network of cooperative relationships with international maritime administrations and organizations. The MBI is currently in its initial evidence collection phase, including debris salvage operations at the incident site and evidence collection in coordination with Canadian authorities in the port of St. John's, Newfoundland. After the on-scene evidence collection efforts conclude, the MBI will typically hold a formal hearing to gather additional witness testimony and evidence in a setting that is available to the public. During the course of the MBI, the board will first and primarily work to determine the cause of this marine casualty and the 5 associated deaths. The MBI, however, is also responsible for accountability aspects of the incident, and it can make recommendations to the proper authorities to pursue civil or criminal sanctions as necessary. However, any subsequent enforcement activities would be pursued under a separate investigation. The MBI is also working in close coordination with other national, domestic, and international investigative authorities, including the United States National Transportation Safety Board, Canadian Transportation Safety Board, French Marine Casualties Investigation Board, and the United Kingdom Marine Accident Investigation Branch. Upon completion of this investigation, the MBI will issue a report to the Commandant of the Coast Guard, Admiral Linda Fagan, with the evidence collected, the facts established, its conclusions, and recommendations. The final report will also be shared with the domestic and international maritime authorities I mentioned, and the International Maritime Organization, the IMO, to help improve the safety framework for submersible operations worldwide. I will now take any questions. Thank you.
Can you walk us through a little bit about the evidence gathering right now? Have you already begun collecting? How does that happen? Remote vehicles or?
The MBI leverages Coast Guard resources nationwide, and also our international partners to collectively collect evidence. And right now we do have ongoing operations. I mentioned 2 areas: the on-site at the accident wreckage site. We have an ongoing salvage operation, and we are also currently conducting interviews in the port of St. John's.
So are you actually collecting items from the port?
I just, at this time, that is the priority of the investigation, is to recover items from the seafloor.
And how do you need to photograph the site? How do you get a sense of the debris?
Sir, we have already mapped the accident site and the field, and so the other factors would be part of the investigation. I don't want to get too deep into the details at this time, sir.
And what other organizations beyond the Coast Guard involved? Other international groups?
Yes, sir. I listed several international maritime authorities in my opening statement, including the Canada's Transportation Safety Board, the United Kingdom's Marine Accident Investigation Branch. It's really parties under international protocols. If they have a substantially interest in the investigation, they can request to be part of the Coast Guard's Marine Board. And we've accepted that. Often citizenship of the fatalities on board would automatically make that international country or maritime administration a party to a substantially interested state and a party.
Sir, let's take another question.
Sir, do you have the capability to recover these 5 bodies? And if so, have you communicated that
about with the family members?
I'm not. We are communicating with family members, and I'm not getting into the details of the recovery operations, but we are taking all precautions on site if we are to encounter any human remains.
You put a lot of resources into this. Do you have an estimate on how much this will cost you for this whole mission?
So, as a matter of U.S. law and Coast Guard policy, the Coast Guard doesn't charge for search and rescue, nor do we associate a cost with human life. We always answer the call. And so the ocean remains an unforgiving environment, and every weekend there are risks that are taken as people go to the water with inadequate safety gear, with inadequate training, or boating while intoxicated. But we still answer the call. We conduct disciplined operations with warranted risk to put our resources and our lives at risk to save others. That's who we are.
Do you think that this investigation might impact the visible? Could you talk about how this could maybe change the risk factor that other people will take? You know, they knew that they were taking a risk when they went into something like this. Do you think this will change regulations on what vessels people use to go into something like this?
Certainly, that is one of the goals of the MBI. That's an opportunity to learn from the incident and then work with our international partners worldwide to do exactly what you mentioned. Improve regulations or international safety standards so that they have improved oversight over these operations and to prevent a similar occurrence.
Do you have an idea how long it will take to investigate?
I can't give an estimate this time due to the several of the international investigations going jointly and some of the evidence sharing. You really cannot give a timeline on the investigation itself.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Is there any plan to release any photographs, any images?
Sir, the Marine Board investigation will not be releasing evidence as it's collected out of concern for other investigative parties and the families involved, so that will not be occurring at this time, sir.
Have the state authorities impounded the Polar Prince over the weekend here? Have you been able to interview folks on that ship as well that want Titan?
Interviews are scheduled with crew members from the Polar Prince.
Confirm if anything has been brought to the surface yet, how you will do that, and then what the analysis of that debris will be.
The salvage operations are ongoing. I'm not going to give the details of what the recovery has been to date, but the resources are on site and capable of recovering the debris. Okay. Thank you.
Again, thank you all for being here today. For any further media inquiries regarding the investigation into the Titan submersible, my staff and I will be available to provide that contact information.
Okay, so what you just heard, very interesting. The U.S. Coast...
Okay. I like that guy. I guess I'll shout him out. Agenda Free TV. I like him. I can't remember other case he was covering, but he's okay. He's definitely been covering this since the beginning as well. So shout out to him for letting me steal the audio from that, because I don't know where he was getting the audio from. So I'm going to close that. So that was very quick. A little disappointing. I was hoping a little bit more, but it does make sense. So I'll give you guys an overview of everything that was asked and said. I'm just going to... why it's not gonna let me. Just give me a second. I don't know why that window's not closing. That's weird. There we go. Okay. Yeah, Agenda Free News. Yeah, he's a pretty nice guy. So I guess while I'm going over everything that what was very little talked about, I'll just play some video while
Oceangate shouldn't have been doing what it was doing. I think.
While we're talking about it. Shout out to everybody taking the time out of their day to show up in the show. I wasn't planning on doing a show today, but then I heard literally like 40 minutes ago that they were going to do a press conference, and I was kind of hoping a little bit more. I mean, I kind of didn't have too much high hopes, though. So, to recap what was in that short press conference, obviously the main question is the recoverage, and how long is it going to take? Do they have the equipment there? So what? Because there was a couple of different questions asked in different forms about the recovery itself. They did confirm that they do have the necessary resources to get this, collect the salvage. They would not give a timetable, which makes sense because they would, who knows how long that's going to take. This is probably something that's never been, done at that depth. So this is a very unique situation. Also, what was asked, a question that I was wondering, is like photos and stuff. Any photos going to be released? And for right now, they said no, out of the respect for the families, which, I guess that makes sense. Apparently, they have already mapped out the debris field from the Titan sub itself. So it sounds like they know what they need to get, mapped everything out, and are in the process of recovering the wreck itself. I'm curious if they're going to be able to get everything, but as far as it sounds like they're going to recover most of it, if not all. And then, of course, another big thing is what's going to go on. What can we learn from this? And apparently, they said the MBI, which I forget the acronym, what it stood for, but they're going to be running a joint investigation, and basically, they're the one that's going to be doing an investigation, and they're going to be handling, the investigation, collecting evidence, and that's the MBI. They're going to do oversight of the project. Then there's going to be a formal hearing of witness testimony. So obviously the people that were on the mothership of Polar Prince are going to be interviewed. And I'm sure maybe previous passengers that were on that ship. And one thing that just seems to be coming up more and more is, and it's especially yesterday, I saw a bunch of new interviews with people that had been on this ship, and they all, almost like 80% of them, all had the same experience where they were on this ship, they went down there. Some did get to see Titanic, but most of them at some point lost communications with the mothership. So a lot of them actually had their trip cut short, and they didn't even get to see the Titanic ship. Some did get to see the Titanic ship, but they still had those communication problems. And you would think they would learn after so many trips that they would, fix that. Then somebody was asking, who's going to, pay for this, salvage operation. Obviously, this is Coast Guard. Really, this is just the taxpayers' money. So that's they didn't go too in depth to that. They just said Coast Guard's gonna, cover the cost, but really that's the taxpayers. Let's see. Then they did ask about recovering the bodies, which they obviously couldn't talk about because I don't know what would really be left. For those that may not know, I'm sure a lot of you, if you're familiar with the Titanic debris site, you'll see a lot of clothing. Most of the clothing is actually decayed except for the boots, because of what the boots were made out of back in, the Titanic era. I forget the exact material, but I guess it does well underwater. But the one thing you won't see is any skeletons. And the reason for that is because of that depth. Your bones just basically just turn to dust. So sadly, if they are just imploded, I don't know if there would be, I'm just guessing obviously, but I don't know if there would be anything left to recover I mean, other than maybe the clothing itself. So, let's see. So I covered that. And then they talked about the different countries, French, Canada, obviously United States are going to play a part in just the investigation. But MBI is the main entity that's going to be doing the main investigation into this. So let me see what you guys are saying in chat, and then I'll see if there's anything else worth looking into real quick. Yeah, I did. Like I said, I did. Yeah, I guess you could say sludge. Like I said, just going off the Titanic. It was kind of weird. I watched the Titanic documentary before this even ever happened, and yeah, and I remember I just found it fascinating because I've watched many Titanic documentaries, but I hadn't watched one for a while, and I forgot why there was no skeletons down there. And although they did recover bodies from the Titanic, but I'm assuming they weren't as far down or something, or they were just floating at the top. But the ones that are all the way down there, of course, the bones just disintegrate and turn into dust. James Cameron provided the best assessment and valuation. I totally agree. Because he understood. He did the Challenger Deep, and I talked about this in my 2 previous shows. And let's just look at the Challenger Deep real quick, because that's just a fascinating ship that. Let's see. Drag that over. That another guy built, but he had a hand in it, and he knew most of that ship because he was challenged. Yeah, there we go. Because obviously he was going to be the only one down there. Oh, why didn't that go through? What is going on? Why does it want to grab my mic? I'm afraid if I say yes. Okay, there we go. That was weird. Oh, maybe I should pull up the other one. James Cameron's ship. There it is. Yeah, so it's basically him and another guy. Oh, and let's see, he might even be in this photo here. I don't know, unless it's this guy here. But there's one main guy in James that really just built this thing. And of course, James had a hand in it, so that way he could understand all the components, because he knew he's going to be the only one down there. If anything was to go wrong, he had to know how the components worked. So, but yeah, his interviews have been real spot on, very interesting, especially learning about one of the big concerns he had with this thing is, so I guess you had the comms. So think of it as 2 different compartments. So you got the comms in this one here. Make sure I'm not blocking it. There we go. So you have the comms in this area here, and then the beacon or whatever somewhere in here, the tracking or whatever. It's kind of like a separate little hole. And apparently he knew if they lost the communication with the tracking, that meant that both these holes that are kind of separated had catastrophic failure, which wasn't good. So that was kind of interesting to learn from James Cameron, among many other things and his concerns about this design. I love the Chris Farley dancing video. You know, I would play it, but I just don't feel like this would be the appropriate time to play it. But I do have it. Well, you can watch some of my older videos. I'm sure that it would surface, and if you're a member, you can watch it anytime you want. Let me see what else you guys are saying. James Cameron is Canadian. We paid for his input on this. Yeah. Anna says James Cameron's been down to the Titanic wreck 33 times and was once trapped in the wreckage for 16 hours. God, can you imagine? He has also been to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, about 7 miles deep. Yeah, the Mariana Trench, which I think you can watch on YouTube. It's called the Challenger Deep, and you don't have to. It's for free. So fascinating. Yeah, we watched one as well, the Sub Brief, which was let's see. Let's see if this is the one. Yeah, this guy here. I don't know if you're talking about this guy here, but he made this video before we knew what happened. I think this is after. I think he made this on like the Monday.
On what happened with this Titan tragedy today. So the Oceangate expedition is a manned submarine transport company that leverages college graduate
But I'm going to skip it forward to the.
And this system I know is very good. I have no questions about the Teledyne equipment. It's probably the best thing on this thing that actually works. All right, so here's the pressure hull under construction. As you can see, it's just a carbon fiber weave that is just loomed left and right until it becomes 5 inches thick. It's a carbon fiber wrap that's designed to withstand the pressures of 4,000 meters of sea depth. Here is a video of it.
Okay, so I mean, I played this multiple times, so I don't want to play it. Let me check the news to see if there's anything. I did see something where there was the supposed release of the sound, the implosion sound caught. I doubt it's the real thing. If you guys want to listen to it, I'm sure it's fake. Just like the banging noise. Let's see if this has been sourced or not. I don't know if that would sound like it or not. I can't tell if this has been sourced or not. Anyway, take that with a grain of salt. I doubt that's a real thing. People always put stuff out like that, but it's kind of eerie. And then, of course, we played this video yesterday. Thanks to, what was it, D, for sending me that video of this guy here. Crazy. This guy could have actually been on the trip that went down for the very last time. And then, of course, his trip ended up with him being on it for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And they didn't even go more than 30 feet, and he had to come right back up because they could not get their comms going. But this was, I think, like 2 days before. So that would have been like Thursday or Friday. 2 days just before that Sunday, it would go down for the last time. So, is this real or not? Okay, some people are saying fake. Okay, that's what I think. Everybody's uploading that audio. That's weird. I don't know. Going on Twitter, though, that's some bad stuff. Anyway, so let's see what's going on in chat. I'm not going to go live too much longer. I just wanted to cover that just because I've been invested in this tragedy since day one, and was kind of hoping for maybe some updates where they had pulled some of the wreckage out, but it sounds like I'm sure they're going to wait till the investigation's done, and there's not going to be any photos released until I'm assuming the investigation's over. I don't know. Who knows? There might be some leaked stuff down the road. I like the subbrief guy, former USN submariner. Yeah, he breaks down a lot of different subs and different ships, how they're built, and some that went down, and it kind of breaks everything step by step, like what went wrong. Yeah, he's amazing. So glad came across him. Yeah, it's on YouTube, free with ads. So you don't even have to have, because I know it was on like I want to say like Hulu or one of those, but yeah, YouTube has it for free. So, yeah. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday, and thank you guys for tuning in. I would go longer. Oh my gosh, you got 800 people in here. Yeah, well, I guess I'll recap for those, because I know we didn't have 800 in the beginning. If you missed what was talked about, I'll go over it real quick. It was so short. It was probably like a 5-minute press conference. It was audio only. I think there was like one main news channel, and if you play them, you'll get your YouTube, you get copyrighted. So I think they will release a video of the press conference eventually, maybe later today. The main things really was there's going to be an investigation done by the NBA. That's I forget what it stands for, but they're the ones that are going to be running the investigation. Let's see, there's no exact timeline on the recovery, although they did say that they have what they need to recover the salvage, which is great. Because we know that the vehicle, the ROV, Odysseus 6K, the one that's, I believe, that found the, let's see, let me bring it over. This is the Victor. This is the vehicle, or the ROV, that found the wreckage site, but, and it does have robotic arms, but, it can't do it by itself, so I'm assuming they're going to probably do a combination of maybe a couple of ROVs, and then have, I know one of the ships that they brought out's got big cranes on it, and then they'll probably feed the line all the way down 13,000 feet, and then assuming rope parts up, and maybe if there's small enough debris, maybe these robot arms can maybe pick up like the small debris. Now, I believe there's at least, there's one thing I did want to look while we were playing this video. I did want to see something, because
Oceangate shouldn't have been doing what it was doing. I think that's pretty clear.
Over this
I wish I had been more vocal about that, but I think...
Oh, it's playing a media player. That's weird. One thing I wanted to do, because I will do one more solid video. I don't know if it'll be alive unless it's like an update. No, this is not what I want. This is what
Oceangate shouldn't have been doing what it was doing.
Okay. So they had at least one other vehicle where instead of having this tiny little window hole, they actually had like a huge window. And I forget the name of that off the top of my head. We do see it in some of their promo videos here. There it is, right there. It's the Cyclops. I got to write that down, Cyclops, because I want to research that. Because I'm curious to know what they used with the Cyclops. Because clearly the Cyclops was used before the Titan. And so I'm kind of curious to know when the Titan started running. So as you can see, there's the Cyclops. Make sure I'm not. Let me move it over a little bit so you can see it. Might be able to pull it up on Google. Because I'm kind of curious on what this was designed out of. Because this was their... I don't know if this was their first ship, but I know it was second to last ship before the Titan. But this one had at least what it looked like 2 cameras on it. And as you can tell, there's actually... To me, this design looked better because you can see they've got the front hole where it's got the bolts, but then you also have the top one where if I recall, I've seen people come out of there. So I wonder why they didn't use the same design, but I don't know if they used the carbon fiber or not. Let me know if you guys do in chat.
Advantages of composite materials go away, and all the disadvantages.
So yeah, we got 1 camera. So what I was trying to get to is they know at the very least there would be 1 camera on the Titan sub that was on the outside, and as long as the camera was still encased in its pressure compartment, they would be able to recover the video evidence, which would give them some kind of idea as well to when it happened. But I think this one had a camera on the top and on the side.
Advantages come into play. So if you're using a uniform material like steel or
see if I can just get a view of this. Okay. Oh, that's them bolting it in. Okay, there's the view I wanted to look at. Oh, yeah, and I just saw 1 camera on the outside. So, yeah, I can see 1 camera here. And I want to say, it kind of looks like there's 1 up top, but there's 1 on the side, maybe on each side, maybe. So, let's see if there's anything going on. Else.
Hi, my name is Annie, and I would like you to give you a few
Oh, they just
reasons why you
uploaded
should
it.
consider dating a young Slavic lady. You can choose.
Do you guys want me to play this one more time? If you guys, I mean, it's only 10 minutes. We got video. Should we play it? Let me know in the chat. I'll play it until we get a answer.
The intention of today's press conference is to shed light on the purpose, scope, and priorities of the Coast Guard's Marine Board of Investigation. Questions should focus on the investigation. Any questions outside this scope should be addressed with our District 1 staff following today's press conference. Please limit your questions to 1 per outlet, and we will be ending at 10 minutes. I will now introduce Rear Admiral John Maugert.
Good afternoon. Over the past week, the world has followed the story of the sub Titan and the 5 people who perished in the terrible tragedy. The purpose of today's press conference is to bring closure to the search and rescue phase of the response and to inform the public of the Coast Guard's next steps. But first and foremost, I want to again express my deepest sympathies to the families. On Saturday, I had the opportunity to travel to St. John's to speak with family members directly. For those that I did not have the opportunity to meet with, I extend my deepest condolences on behalf of the United States Coast Guard and the members of the Unified Command. As I've continued to stress throughout, this case has been extremely complex, involving a coordinated international, interagency, and private sector response in an unforgiving and difficult to access region of the ocean. In total, the Unified Command directed 11 surface assets, 5 subsurface assets, 4 air assets, and completed 39 search and rescue sorties, totaling almost 13,000 square miles.
Wow.
And while the outcome was not what any of us had hoped for, I am very proud of the team of responders who put forth their best effort to locate the submersible. While in Canada, I met with and personally thanked members of the Canadian Coast Guard and the Canadian Armed Forces, who demonstrated the utmost professionalism and expertise throughout the response. I extended my gratitude to all the professional responders who worked diligently to evaluate all leads, mobilize resources, and maintain hope. Their devotion to duty in the face of many complex challenges ensured that we remained always ready to conduct search and rescue operations if needed. The discovery of the Titan submersible wreckage marked the conclusion of the search and rescue aspect of this incident. The Coast Guard has officially convened a Marine Board of Investigation into the loss of the submersible and the 5 people on board. That investigation will be led by Chief Investigator Captain Jason Neubauer. So at this time, I will turn over the mic to him. Captain Neubauer.
Thank you, Admiral Mauger. Good afternoon. Before I discuss the Coast Guard's investigation, I want to express my deepest condolences to the loved ones of the 5 individuals who perished in this tragic incident. My team and myself have been investigating this since we heard the initial reports of lost communications, and my entire team wanted to express their condolences also. As a senior investigator, I have witnessed the personal impacts associated with these types of events. And my primary goal is to prevent a similar occurrence by making the necessary recommendations to enhance the safety of the maritime domain worldwide. Upon receiving notification that the submersible Titan had suffered a catastrophic failure with the loss of the 5 lives on board, the Coast Guard declared a major marine casualty and convened a Marine Board of Investigation, commonly referred to as an MBI, on June 23rd. I am serving as the chair for that investigation. An MBI is the highest level of investigation the Coast Guard conducts and enables the U.S. to fully leverage investigative resources, Coast Guard-wide, and capitalize on an extensive network of cooperative relationships with international maritime administrations and organizations. The MBI is currently in its initial evidence collection phase, including debris salvage operations at the incident site and evidence collection in coordination with Canadian authorities in the port of St. John's, Newfoundland. After the on-scene evidence collection efforts conclude, the MBI will typically hold a formal hearing to gather additional witness testimony and evidence in a setting that is available to the public. During the course of the MBI, the board will first and primarily work to determine the cause of this marine casualty and the 5 associated deaths. The MBI, however, is also responsible for accountability aspects of the incident, and it can make recommendations to the proper authorities to pursue civil or criminal sanctions as necessary. However, any subsequent enforcement activities would be pursued under a separate investigation. The MBI is also working in close coordination with other national, domestic, and international investigative authorities, including the United States National Transportation Safety Board, Canadian Transportation Safety Board, French Marine Casualties Investigation Board, and the United Kingdom Marine Accident Investigation Branch. Upon completion of this investigation, the MBI will issue a report to the Commandant of the Coast Guard, Admiral Linda Fagan, with the evidence collected, the facts established, its conclusions, and recommendations. The final report will also be shared with the domestic and international maritime authorities I mentioned and the International Maritime Organization, the IMO, to help improve the safety framework for submersible operations worldwide. I will now take any questions. Thank you.
Can you walk us through a little bit about the evidence gathering right now? Have you already begun collecting? How does that happen? Is it remote vehicles or?
The MBI leverages Coast Guard resources nationwide, and also our international partners to collectively collect evidence. And right now we do have ongoing operations. I mentioned 2 areas: the on-site at the accident wreckage site. We have an ongoing salvage operation, and we are also currently conducting interviews in the port of St. John's.
But are you actually collecting items from the floor?
At this time, that is the priority of the investigation, is to recover items from the seafloor.
And how do you need to photograph the site? How do you get a sense of the debris?
Sir, we have already mapped the accident site and the field, and so the other factors would be part of the investigation. I don't want to get too deep into the details at this time, sir.
And what other organizations beyond the Coast Guard, other national groups?
Yes, sir. I listed several international maritime authorities in my opening statement, including the Canada's Transportation Safety Board, the United Kingdom's Marine Accident Investigation Branch. It's really parties under international protocols. If they have a substantially interest in the investigation, they can request to be part of the Coast Guard's Marine Board. And we've accepted that. Often citizenship of the fatalities on board would automatically make that international country or maritime administration a party to a substantially interested state and a party.
Let's take another question.
Sir, do you have the capability to recover these 5 bodies? And if so, have you communicated that with family members?
I'm not getting into the details of the recovery operations, but we are taking all precautions on site if we are to encounter any human remains.
You put a lot of resources into this. Do you have an estimate on how much this costs you for this whole mission?
So, as a matter of U.S. law and Coast Guard policy, the Coast Guard doesn't charge for search and rescue, nor do we associate a cost with human life. We always answer the call. And so the ocean remains an unforgiving environment, and every weekend there are risks that are taken as people go to the water with inadequate safety gear, with inadequate training, or boating while intoxicated. But we still answer the call. We conduct disciplined operations with warranted risk to put our resources and our lives at risk to save others. That's who we are.
Do you think that this, well, you mentioned this investigation might impact future deliverables? Could you talk about how this could maybe change the risk factor that other people will take? You know, they knew that they were taking a risk when they went into something like this. Do you think this will change regulations on what vessels will use to go into something like this?
Certainly that is one of the goals of the MBI. That's an opportunity to learn from the incident and then work with our international partners worldwide to do exactly what you mentioned. Improve regulations or international safety standards so that they have improved oversight over these operations and to prevent a similar occurrence.
Do you have an idea how long it will take to investigate?
I can't give an estimate at this time due to the several of the international investigations going jointly and some of the evidence sharing. You really cannot give a timeline on the investigation itself.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Is there any plans to release any photographs, any images?
Sir, the Marine Board investigation will not be releasing evidence as it's collected out of concern for other investigative parties and the families involved, so that will not be occurring at this time, sir. Interviews are scheduled with crew members from the Polar Prince.
Confirm if anything has been brought to the surface yet, how you will do that, and then what the analysis of that debris will be.
The salvage operations are ongoing. I'm not going to give the details of what the recovery has been to date, but the resources are on site and capable of recovering the debris. Okay. Thank you.
Again, thank you all for being here today. For any further media inquiries regarding the investigation into the Titan submersible, my staff and I will be available to provide that contact information.
Okay. Interesting. Global news. Okay. So yeah, I guess that wasn't the Coast Guard website or YouTube channel. Interesting. A few little tidbits I didn't hear from the first time, which I guess we'll recap real quick here. I guess an interesting one. Obviously, they're going to do a full investigation and make sure nothing like this happens again. And I agree with what once somebody said in here. Where was it? Yeah, Mally says, we need explorers of this world. Without such people, we would know nothing. I agree. I think the thing is the fact that they made it where they're bringing tourists along and stuff like this. And, yeah, that just, it doesn't look good, especially if you're not going through proper safeties. It's like, going on a real, going to a theme park that's never been, vetted before, and you sign a bunch of waivers and stuff, and yeah. But I agree with part of that. We learned so much, especially with Challenger Deep and all that, with the marine life. Obviously, we know more about the surface of Mars than we do our own ocean floor, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, the big thing is just the way it was done, and the fact that many people were raising red flags. Even the co-founder or one of the main employees who was, I think, fired for raising concerns when it comes to the way this ship was built. And of course, one of that being I'm assuming the carbon fiber weave, which is not usually the normal material that they would use for something like this. So and yeah, and it was kind of sad because there was a little article about the son. Like, the son apparently was a little scared to go, but he wanted to go because of his dad. It was kind of a father and son thing. So yeah, that just kind of makes it all more the tragedy is the fact that there was a teenager on board. I mean, I get it. You're going to probably have, even with, certain things, the waiver makes sense, but just the fact that you didn't have it checked out by third parties and stuff, that's the big thing. So let me go over. Let's see, there was a couple of things that I picked up. What was the other one? Oh, it's nothing big, but so it sounds like the Polar Prince, which is the mothership to this vessel, is I'm assuming at the port of St. John's, and I guess they are getting interviewed right now, which is obviously part of the investigation. So obviously that'll give them more details on when's the last time they lost communication with the ship or talked to it. What do they know? What did their radar or whatever their equipment say? And then just put together this a picture of what happened. Just trying to see. So yeah, there's the camera there. I can't tell if this is a camera here, but definitely a camera on top here. And then, of course, no photos or anything until the investigation is either done or they've interviewed everybody. But they said they're not going to release photos. They don't know when the recovery will be done, but it is ongoing, and they do have the necessary equipment, which is this is going to be crazy because it's going to be something that's really never been that I know of at this depth, never been done before. Even subs that are like 500 feet, that some of them didn't get to. It would take years for them to come back and recover. I mean, obviously that's a big giant sub compared to a submersible, but still, this could be something for the books. Let me check the chat. What did that one guy say? Yeah, I wanted to look at the Cyclops sub real quick before we go. Oceangate Cyclops 1. Okay, it's loading up real quick. Maybe? Maybe they're altering their website. Yeah, see, this is what they had before. And it had, clearly, it had a different design to it. Let's see. Somebody said there was a... Where did I write it down? There's info about this here. Oh, where did I write it down at? It's on the back page. Oh, I don't know if I were. Whoever told me about this vessel, let me know. Is it a video or something that we can watch? I was kind of curious to see this because this is the previous vessel. I'm just curious of what, did they just retire this vessel or did something happen with this one? But this was the one that they used prior to it. Anyway, let me check chat here and then probably get ready to finish up because I wasn't really planning on going live today. Just a few things. I did release a members video for it's involving the Aiden Clune search. I've got a couple of hours of drone footage in 4K that I've gone over a few times, and so I'm going to release 3 parts. They're like 30 minutes each. And anyway, if you want to help look for Aiden, because there could have been something I missed in the drone footage, the members can go and check that video out. I released it this morning. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm wondering what happened with this one. Did they just retire it or what? Oh, here we go. This might tell us. Okay. Submersible. Okay. They own 3 submersibles. Cyclops 1, Titan. They own 3 submersibles. The Cyclops 1 and Titan, well, that's 2, were launched and recovered from dry dock launch and recovery platform that could be towed behind a commercial vessel. Tells it how it works. Okay, okay. In March 2015, Oceangate unveiled the Cyclops 1. So it's the same thing, 5-person still hold. Interesting. Still hold submersible capable of diving up to 500 meters. Okay, so that is nowhere near. Is that right? Okay, so it could only go 500 meters. So that's only an eighth of what the Titan could do. Well, sort of. So he went from a still hold, which people prefer, to this carbon fiber. In the initial design, the hull was to be made of carbon fiber, but this idea was scrapped in favor of a steel hull. Oceangate acquired the steel hull from Cyclops 1. So obviously it could go to the depths of 4,000 meters, which is the Titanic. And so they built the Titan. But there was a Cyclops 2, which was a titanium structure. Okay, so there is a Titan 2.
The key to the future lies in the oceans.
If you think about the Earth as really the landmass that we all occupy, then there are 3 planets worth of resources available in the ocean. Minerals, chemicals, biological. It is a vast, huge opportunity.
An opportunity realized by collaboration between science and industry.
Cyclops is a 5-person submersible.
Cyclops by Oceangate will provide real-time on-site access to the ocean depths for a wide range of users: filmmakers, tourists, scientists, the oil and gas industry, salvagers, and more.
Situations where you need to have a decision maker on the job site.
Oceangate's new approach to manned submersibles is based upon new lightweight materials,
A carbon fiber hull,
existing off-the-shelf technologies,
commercial game controllers, standard computers.
and operational efficiency.
One of the things we've done is automate a lot of the internal functions. It is a very simple vehicle to train someone to operate.
Cyclops' launch and retrieval system does not require a costly support vessel.
If you look back at the earlier designs of deep diving submersibles, they weren't focused on market opportunities, and that led to designs that were large, bulky, expensive.
Test dives in Puget Sound are conducted with the assistance of Oceangate's partner, the Applied Physics Laboratory at the University of Washington. Cyclops 1 is paving the way for Cyclops 2 with an operational depth of 3,000 meters.
We can scale to multiple vehicles relatively quickly because we've used commercially off-the-shelf products for almost everything we do. We can bring additional vessels online in a matter of months as opposed to years or decades.
With Cyclops, Oceangate combines a versatile, cost-effective platform with a service-focused business model to revolutionize how we explore, research, and respond.
So saving money and time to get the product out there. Yeah. And that's what happens. Interesting though. So there was 2 of them. So the other one was a carbon fiber that reached 3,000 depth. It's close to the Titanic. Huh. Anyway, I was just kind of curious. I wonder if... but no, the Titan... So one of the things before we go with just the Titan sub... is, yes, it'd been on many trips. I don't know how many in total, because usually they would go out, it would be an 8 to 10 day excursion, and then they would go down, try to go down once a day if the day was fine that day. But I know they had trips in 2021, 2022, and then they only had this one trip this year in 2023. But I'm assuming it just took its toll with the carbon fiber weave. So, yeah. Oh, a Titan with carbon fiber with titanium shells. Interesting. All right. Well, no, I traveled, Captain. Yeah, I traveled many times to the Titanic. Many times. I don't know how many times exactly, but multiple times. But it just probably took a toll on the vessel itself. So with that, I think we're going to end it there. Just kind of curious to see what was going on with this press conference. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. But sounds like the investigation is going and they have what they need to recover the salvage. So that's good to hear. And with that, let's see anything else in here. Just please, if you can, hit that like button before you leave. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch the show. We'll be back on live tomorrow. We're hoping for the Richard Allen documents to drop. And we will have Steve from True Crime Web on, like we do every Monday. So look forward to that tomorrow. And just a shout out to all my mods, Molly, Dee, Michaela, Jocelyn, and to just all my mods. Jennifer, much love. And with that, I'm going to sign out, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have the wonderful rest of your